everyone, and welcome to Ncaa Arena. A huge game on the docket today. Purdue and Rutgers in a late season Big Ten matchup. This is our BoilerBall pregame show. I'm Rob Blackman. This is Chris Forman. Hopefully you've joined us once, twice, I don't know, maybe half a dozen times already this year for our BoilerBall pregame show. We're always happy to be with you, just to give you a taste, if you will, of what you might expect coming up later today between the Boilermakers and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. It's a rematch of a game played on December the 9th in Piscataway, New Jersey. Rutgers winning 70-68 on a half-court heave by Ron Harper Jr. We'll talk about that in a moment. First things first, Chris Forman, our weekend has gotten off to a pretty good start because yesterday on CBS, they announced, for the moment, the top 16 seeds for the upcoming Ncaa tournament. Obviously, it's a fluid situation, and this is subject to change, but our Boilermakers are number 2 seed.
Yeah, number 2 seed in the Midwest with a route of Indianapolis and then Chicago. Auburn, the number 1 seed. Obviously, pretty excited to be with that path, possibly to New Orleans. But a lot of games left, 4 games left in the regular season, then the Big Ten tournament. Hopefully, the Boilermakers can move up that seed line and stay in the Midwest as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Look, being number 2 is not half bad, but moving up to a 1 line, nothing wrong with that. By the way, Purdue was the number 7 overall seed, correct?
Yes, number 7.
Yeah, so that would be obviously the 3rd best of the number 2 seeds, but as Chris said, long way to go. We're exactly 3 weeks away from Selection Sunday, as we said here at Ncaa Arena. All right, Boilermakers and Rutgers. As I mentioned, rematch from December the 9th. Ron Harper Jr., 30 points, 10 rebounds, but none of his points were any more important than the final 3. Half-court heave. You know how it goes, Purdue fans. He made it. So many storylines from that game. Purdue was number 1 in the country for the first time in school history. Ron Harper Jr. is a senior, playing in front of a packed house, knocks off the number 1 team in the country with a half-court shot. If you're just a college basketball fan, you're like, that's a really cool story. If you're a Purdue fan, you're like, oh, man.
Yeah, when you asked about talking about that game, I was kind of iffy about it. But, it was a good game. Rutgers came back, made plays down the stretch late. Purdue had about a 10-point lead with 8 minutes left or so. Had a couple shots that really could have stretched that lead out that went in and out. Had a couple calls go against us. And then Ron Harper just made a huge play at the end. So that game, I think, is on everyone's mind still. The way they rushed the court and some of the things that were said. So hopefully that can serve as a little bit of motivation for today.
It's funny, when you look at the stat sheet from that game, which you can look at it right here if you like, Purdue out-rebounded Rutgers. Purdue had fewer turnovers than Rutgers. Purdue did a ton of things well, except shoot the ball. In that game, Purdue was 41% from the floor, not three-point shooting from the floor, 41%.
Yeah, which is about 10 percentage points below what we normally shoot. So that was our first real game, I think, where we shot the ball poorly.
Yes.
And you look what happened. I didn't think the defense was that terrible. We held them to 70 points. But, we just couldn't make the plays on the stretch. I think we struggled from the free throw line a little bit as well.
Yep.
So just wasn't one of those normal offensive outputs that we've had.
Purdue was 11 of 16 from the free throw line, shot only 27% from 3. Couple of key moments late in the second half. Speaking of free throw shooting, Purdue got Rutgers to miss free throws, but you remember back-to-back possessions, Rutgers got an offensive rebound on a missed free throw.
Yeah, and then second chance points late in the game just killed the Boilermakers. Got to clean that up again today.
How about you want some more heartbreaking news? Rutgers only made 1 3-point basket the entire second half, 1, and it was the half quarter. They only shot 4. They made 1 of 4, and of course it was the big one that gave Rutgers the win.
Rob, sorry to interrupt. The thing to look for today, Ron Harper injured his hand in the last game. We're not even sure if he's going to play today. We're checking out, see if he comes out through warm-ups, but he injured his hand. We're not sure if it was a dislocation or a broken hand or something, but something to look forward to today.
We know this. First meeting, Rutgers played without Geo Baker. Still found a way to win. They do expect to have Geo Baker in the lineup today, and since his freshman year, I remember this vividly, his freshman year at Madison Square Garden against Purdue in the Big Ten tournament, this guy's been a Purdue killer from day 1.
Yeah, he and Corey Sanders in that game just absolutely kept them in the game. Purdue would eventually win it, but That was a really memorable game up in New York City. 2 years ago, they came in here. Geo Baker and Ron Harper, in the second half, Purdue could not stop them. They would get on switches that they found advantageous and really took advantage of it.
How about the fact Purdue has lost 4 in a row to Rutgers? We haven't beaten these guys since 2019.
Yeah, it's wild to think of. You think about all the great teams that have come in this league that Purdue has beaten. Rutgers has had our number.
Well, look, here are the facts. These are the 2 hottest teams in the Big Ten right now. Purdue's won 5 of their last 6. Rutgers has won 5 of their last 6. A lot has been made about the fact that Rutgers has won their last 4 games in a row, beating 4 ranked teams in a row. So top 25 teams, they've ripped off 4 wins in a row. Obviously, if they beat Purdue, it'd be 5 in a row against ranked teams. But I would let you know this, folks. Maybe it's because we don't toot our horn quite as loudly about this fact. Purdue this year is 5-1 against ranked teams.
Yeah,
we also have had great success.
Yeah, the only loss coming to Wisconsin here in Ncaa Arena when Johnny Davis went off in the second half. So Purdue's played very well against ranked teams this year. Rutgers is not ranked, but they've been getting votes. They're getting on the cusp of top 25. We're treating them like a ranked team.
One of the reasons Rutgers has been playing really well as of late, they've had great play at the point guard position from Paul Mulcahy. He's been big time.
Yeah, he's been a matchup nightmare the last 5 games or so, averaging about 18 points, about 6 assists, really the straw that stirs the drink for them. Purdue will need to keep him out of the lane to have a chance in this game.
Purdue won Wednesday night at Northwestern, 70-64. If you look at Purdue's numbers defensively against Northwestern Wednesday, and then the previous weekend against Maryland, as far as back-to-back defensive efforts, it's been about as good as Purdue's been all year.
Yeah, they've held both teams to about 0.9 points per possession. You want to be in that range to have a really good defensive team. I thought our energy and our attention to detail the last 2 games has been really strong on the defensive end.
Jaden Ivey, it is fair to say, did not have a great night Wednesday at Northwestern. Was on the bench late in the game when Purdue was closing out that game against Northwestern. That actually doesn't put me in a bad mood because Jaden Ivey normally doesn't have 2 bad games in a row.
No, he's been outstanding this whole year. If you ask me, I think he's looked a little bit tired the last few games. There's a lot of fatigue on him. He goes so hard playing the game. He needed a break. We got a good break on Thursday, a day off where the guys did absolutely nothing, which I think will be very beneficial. We have days off tomorrow and Tuesday after this game, so the breaks are coming, so hopefully we can put a really good effort. Jaden can put together a good effort and get out of here with a W.
Here's what the Big Ten standings look like right now, this very second. Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, all at 12-4 atop the Big Ten standings. Remember, Purdue still has to play at Wisconsin Tuesday night, March the 1st in a 9 p.m. game. So Purdue does control its destiny there. For Illinois, if you look at the rest of their schedule to the end of the season, are there some potential roadblocks there? Yeah, maybe. But if I'm a Purdue fan, I probably don't want to leave it in the hands of Illinois. Purdue needs to win these last 4 games.
Yeah, you just want to take care of business. You win all 4, you don't have to worry about what anyone else does. Illinois, like you said, they've got Michigan, although who knows what Michigan will look like after what happened today.
Right.
But they have Ohio State at home, who's obviously a good team. Their other 2 games are, I think they have Iowa at home, who's a good team. So there are roadblocks there, but if Purdue wants to win the Big Ten, just take care of business yourselves and not worry about anyone else.
By the way, if you're wondering what Chris is referencing when he mentioned Michigan and what happened today in their game, post-game against Wisconsin, just Google it. I promise you it will come up very quickly on your search engine. All right, final thought here, Chris Forman, before we get ready for the game today. 5:30 tip-off, by the way, 5:30 for Purdue and Rutgers. What does it take for Purdue today to avenge that earlier season loss to the Scarlet Knights and finally beat these guys?
I feel like I say that it's a broken record every time I say this, but pound the ball inside. They have one big man, Cliff Omoruti, who's had a good year. He's about 11-8. He's very athletic, not much of a jump shooter, but a real garbage man around the rim. If you can get him in foul trouble, pound the ball inside, you have a really good chance. Defensively, you got to keep them out of the lane and keep your discipline on what you want to do on the defensive end. Make them do things that they may not want to do. If you do that, you got a good chance.
We'll find out. 5:30 today is the tip. We hope you'll join us on our radio broadcast, myself and Bobby Bucket Trudell. Our pregame show begins shortly at 4:30 Eastern. For Chris Forman, I'm Rob Blackman. Big thank you to those who helped behind the scenes today. Actually, it was just one person, Corey Palm. Thanks to Corey for helping. Purdue, Rutgers, final game of a Big Ten weekend coming up from Ncaa Arena. We hope you enjoy, and thanks so much for being a part of our BoilerBall pregame show. So long, everyone.